ncIMPACT is made possible by funding from Civic Federal Credit Union and is a public media North Carolina production in association with the University of North Carolina School of Government.
The children under 5 may be the smallest percentage, but they're 100% of our future.
Who we are today is mapped out in our very early years, and there's a new approach in how we prepare children 5 and under for future success. This is ncIMPACT. I'm Anita Brown-Graham. One of the ways we measure how well a community is doing is by looking at how its various populations are doing. And of course that means looking at its youngest population, those children 5 and under. They depend on family and community to give the right start and the tools they need to grow up healthy, safe, and well-balanced. Transylvania County is the first rural county in the United States chosen for the Sesame Street and Communities Initiative. This initiative is designed to give all children the strong start they need. ncIMPACT's David Hurst visited the area to learn more.
Home to hundreds of waterfalls and miles of mountains, many moved to western North Carolina to slow down and enjoy its richness and beauty.
Oh, let's be a rubble and dig.
It's one of the main reasons Katie Sanders and her family chose to live in the mountains.
Life is slow here. People they get outside. It's just kind of down to earth really here.
That's dirty, but under the dirt, what color?
When Katie's daughter Tilly was born, they were living in Jackson County.
So I just started to look online for programs like support groups for moms and meetups and things like that, and I couldn't find any near me.
So she looked in neighboring Transylvania County and found plenty of options.
Yes!
Katie and Tilly made the hour drive just about every day for a year until they decided to move here permanently.
Things just kind of fit together. They have a great reputation for raising families. We would come downtown to the festivals and there was always families everywhere. People were friendly. It just was like, yeah, we need to be here.
What's funny about this picture?
Elizabeth Airy and her family also recently moved to Transylvania County.
Is that how Big Bird wears the hat?
The mom of 3 kids struggled to find support while living in a rural community in South Carolina.
The families there were close-knit, and family members would look after the children, and our family was not close by, and so babysitters were hard to come by. Can you wiggle like a slimy worm?
The Airys moved to Transylvania County to be closer to family, and they ended up finding an additional kind of family here to help raise their children.
Finding that support and kind of that network and kind of that village that I believe a mom needs to just bounce ideas off of and complain to, those that are empathetic to what a mother is going through was huge.
So welcome to Story Time.
Families are moving to Transylvania County in large part because of its reputation as a great place to raise children.
So I thought that we would start off today with a song about colors.
County leaders began putting an emphasis on early childhood development in 2015.
Wave your scarf fast and slow, fast and slow, fast.
At the time, they discovered parents struggled to find pre-K and child care options in the area. In an effort to come up with solutions, a county commissioner invited 24 local organizations to talk about these issues over lunch.
They all showed up. It was an overwhelming response. And it was so fascinating to get everybody in the room together for the first time. They'd never had that chance before.
The group began meeting monthly, and the Get Set Transylvania initiative was born. Their first step was to gather data in order to highlight the specific issues in their community. They then compiled all that data and put together a report called State of the Young Child.
And what were some of the biggest takeaways from that report? There were some pretty surprising takeaways. The issues, sometimes we come at things from our own perceptions in a community. And so the data really helped us to see what the issues were compared to other communities. A great example was under health. Whatever our different practitioners thought the most salient issues were, what we found in the data was that our children being born addicted to substances was 7 times the state average. That was a jaw dropper, I think, not only for the people that were even serving families, but for the community at large. So that opened the door for discussion. Well, why? That led us to see that it took going to Asheville to seek treatment for a lot of different concerns. Well, if you don't have transportation from Brevard to Asheville, an hour away, then you're likely not going to seek treatment. So one of the things sort of low-hanging fruit, well, how do we get treatment in county? We were able to work with our healthcare providers to do that, and we saw that number reduced by half in just the first year.
The report also revealed that young children were not ready when they entered kindergarten. Transylvania County schools reported that 78% of kindergartners tested below or far below proficiency at the beginning of the school year in 2015. So the Get Set team set out to expand their pre-K programs.
When I started working in early childhood, which was about 15 years ago, there was one NC pre-K classroom in the community. Now there are 10. So it has grown exponentially over the years, and it is amazing just to see the kids who have come to through the programs and how they have grown and flourished.
Deb Tibbetts is the executive director for Smart Start Transylvania. She says her organization was able to secure pre-K funding when NC pre-K expansion funds became available. Since then, they've been able to increase their available slots for NC pre-K by 500%.
I like to tell people that we were building the airplane while we were flying it, because you can't rehabilitate an organization and then wave a flag and say, okay, we're ready now, funding come. You have to take advantage of what's available statewide and advocate for your county when it's available. I think that the investment in early childhood pays off in terms of not only having children who are socially, emotionally competent and functioning adults, but you're readying young people for the workforce. And I think that the economic payoff is certainly there.
And Tibbetts claims this economic payoff can be substantial. Studies show that high-quality early childhood programs can yield a return of anywhere from $4 to $12 per $1 invested. Local pre-K teachers say these numbers show that pre-K is not only about getting children ready for kindergarten, it's preparing them for the rest of their lives.
When you think about it, when children graduate from preschool, that's a big deal. So much learning has gone on during that time period, not just learning how to talk and maybe learning to use the bathroom by yourself, but learning how to write your name, how to interact with other people, how to deal with other authority figures besides just their parents. So when they graduate from preschool, to me, that's an even bigger deal than graduating high school, because they have learned so much in such a short period of time.
So much for them to do, and the bear sees blue.
Along with expanding pre-K, the Get Set initiative has also created new activities and programs for young children.
Can you spy green with bear? Yeah.
Just about every day, the library hosts free events where kids can come and learn and interact with others. The Parks and Recreation Department also opens up a local gym once a week to let kids run and bounce around during a program called Indoor Play.
Yeah, scribbling. Like scribbling, it's fun.
These programs help those like Pauline Romans, who watches her 4-year-old great-granddaughter Kelly during the week.
It's a relief. It helps them to learn. It helps them to socialize. It helps them to make friends, be happy, express their feelings. I think it's very important.
You ready?
The Get Set initiative also creates programs to help parents. The Family Dinner Series is a monthly event that gives parents a space to talk about parenting topics while providing them a free dinner and free childcare.
This month's topic was about mental health, and we had 87 people attend that night. And as we know, mental health is a huge issue in our community, has a big impact on families and on the children. And you see it in the school systems, you see it in the preschools, and it's a topic that we need to address, and this gives us a venue to be able to do that.
Community leaders say these programs came about because of the partnerships formed through the Get Set initiative.
You mentioned earlier partnerships. How crucial were these collaborations in coming up with solutions to these issues?
I think it's absolutely critical. And really, in every issue that we address as a community, I see us blurring the lines as much as we can between government, business, and nonprofits. All bring different things to the table, and the trick for us in collaboration is how do we approach those collaborations, not with what we can't do, but what can we bring to the table? How can we piece together the puzzle to make things work in our communities? And without that collaboration, especially for a rural and small community, we really wouldn't be as effective.
Why do you think a community should make this issue a priority?
Early childhood to me really has a lot of different issues. I'm a mom of 3 children, so it's not hard to compel me to want to care about children. But there's also this bigger policy issue. We know that we are not replacing our workforce with our birth rate across the whole country. So 20 years from now, myself included, we'll have a lot of folks that are retired that really are going to be relying on the children of today to be our leaders, to be our policy developers, to be our workforce that's making our economy chug along. That means that every single child matters to every single adult. And that is different maybe than the perceptions that we've had in the past. And I think that that is the biggest, that economic issue and that community basis issue is really what we're trying to secure for the long haul. And if we fail, if we have children growing up without the needs, knowing that the brain develops so quickly, then we can't really say in 20 years that it's their fault if they're not functioning at the level of their potential, because we didn't give them the right opportunities to make that happen. We can look at brain science, and it tells us that by the time you're 5 years old, you have formed a lot of the pathways that set your lifelong learning patterns. And so making sure that 0 to 5 is a great time and a rich time for that brain development is really important to what our whole society will look like in 20 and 30 years.
They get gift baskets from Sesame Street. I like that more.
The Get Set initiative also caught the attention of Sesame Street and communities. The national organization helps communities give parents a toolkit of resources for their child's health and education.
What that does for us is it gives us a soft touch with families. When you're coming in and giving a family a chance to meet the Count or Cookie Monster or Abby Cadabby or Super Grover, they're coming to you to have their picture taken and to meet this great Sesame character. And that gives you this opportunity to very subtly have surrounding them offers of programs and things they can learn about when they come into that space.
Like with our partnership with Sesame Street and Communities, here we have a nationally known partner in working with our families here, and they use evidence-based material, and for like the Family Dinner Series, they created a teaching card deck for us to be able to use. They tailor-made it for each topic for our Family Dinner Series. So here we are, tiny Brevard, rural mountain location, and Sesame Street is creating specific information for our families here. So I get pretty excited about that.
Sesame Street and Communities only partners with a handful of local communities. Transylvania County was the first rural community in the country to be selected.
What are some of the unique challenges that rural communities face when it comes to early childhood education and development that urban communities may not?
You know, we're looking at stress factors on our families, the high housing costs in rural communities, the low wages of our working families. Those are all big challenges. So that when you've got the stress of a family just trying to survive, it's not like they're going to be out there trying to figure out how they can be the best playmate with their 1-year-old. So we've got a lot of need in this community, a lot of food insecurity, and trying to connect with our families and connecting them with the resources that are available. It's often hard. Communication is very difficult as well when you can't afford a cell phone. You know, how do we communicate what we've got to offer to these folks? But if you have a big block party at Halloween and the Count is here, then everybody makes an effort to come out, and then you can find access to these resources.
And this initiative is still pretty young. What excites you about the future as you all continue this work?
There was a very wise county commissioner many, many years ago, and he has been a lovely mentor to me, Carol Parker. His wife, Kay, is a retired early educator. And when I started this work, I went to Carol and I said, Carol, help me sell this to the community. Why should the community care about our 0 to 5 population? And he said, remember that no child gets to choose who gives birth to them. So it's in the community's interest to provide a strong, stable, nurturing, supportive environment for all of our children. And I also believe that no parent starts out, looking forward to the birth of a child thinking, oh, I'm not going to pay my child any attention and I'm going to be the worst parent ever. Parents want to be those good parents. They want to be the positive parents. And we just need to provide them those opportunities, particularly for parents who maybe didn't have that kind of experience growing up themselves.
And in 2018, Get Set was able to expand their reach after the state pitched in and helped with funding. State Senator Chuck Edwards represents Transylvania County. He was able to allocate $50,000 of state funds to help the Get Set initiative.
And you were able to allocate some state funds to help out the Get Set initiative. Where did those come from and how did that come about?
Well, the folks back at Transylvania County are extremely passionate and have made me aware for quite some time that they placed a high value on education in those early years. And so in representing that district, it's my job to come down to the state and find resources, in this case dollars, to help them get started with the Get Set program.
Do you think that passion is unique to that county, that area?
I think it's extremely unique. And what makes it more unique than anything is that this is not a government program. This is a group of compassionate folks that are willing to roll up their sleeves and work and make a difference as a community.
And what goes through your mind when you see all the different community partners and stakeholders come to the table, work together to tackle this issue?
It's extremely warming and exciting to see so many folks come together with a common purpose and build a community with a dedication to help our young people get off to a good start.
Is there anything on the horizon in terms of more state resources or state funding in an effort to tackle this issue?
Well, in North Carolina, the General Assembly makes a very high priority of funding pre-kindergarten. We've eradicated the wait list. We continue to put resources towards programs like the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. We fund programs like Smart Start. There are various number of initiatives out there that we've found successful. And the difference is really what takes place in the communities and how folks utilize those resources.
Ooh, nice step down, sis.
For Katie Sanders, she's grateful her family made the move to Transylvania County. And while she enjoys the beauty of this area, what really makes her excited is the promising potential of her daughter's future.
We literally relocated here because of the resources. We just feel strongly that she's going to thrive here, and it's a good start to life.
Get Set Transylvania is today one of 8 programs in the entire United States in partnership with the Sesame Street in Communities initiative. For more information on early childhood programs like this, visit unctv.org/ncIMPACT. Coming up on ncIMPACT.
I didn't see an issue in what I was doing, but you have to crash sooner or later.
The misuse of opioids among pregnant women is growing across the country, but there are programs helping them defeat the stigma and get the help they need.
ncIMPACT is made possible by funding from Civic Federal Credit Union and is a public media North Carolina production in association with the University of North Carolina School of Government.